Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you one of the first flips that I ever did when I was starting off and interested in furniture flipping. This is a dresser slash TV console that I purchased on Facebook Marketplace for $30. The first thing that I'm doing is, of course, giving it a good scrub. This thing was extremely heavy. It was solid wood, so you'll see me struggling lifting and taking it off. Not all of the not all of the pulls and knobs were attached to the TV console, so I just removed those. I'm not going to be reusing these pulls because there just wasn't enough to reuse, but I'm going to save these in case I want to use them for a different project. And here you can see it's got lots of dents and scratches or whatnot that was in the piece, and so I'm going to need to fill those in and to sand those down. And so in the cleaning process, it helps me visualize and see exactly what I'm going to need to repair so that I can prep it. And here you see that I'm just going to continue to clean the piece off. It was extremely dirty. And once I got it cleaned off and rinsed off, I'm going to start filling in the scratches and dings and dents and missing pieces of wood in order to smooth out the piece. Now when I fill in the dents and scratches, I tend to overfill just a little bit, so when because your wood filler is going to shrink a little bit as it dries, and so I want to overfill the holes in the dings and scratches just a little bit, so when I sand it down, it'll sand out smooth. And I'm going to continue to fill in the dings and scratches that are down sitting on the bottom. This piece was pretty scratched up, so there's a lot of wood filler going on. Here, the bottom of the piece was a little warped, and so what I'm doing is I'm taking out the staples. This is just a thin MDF board that was stapled to the bottom of the dresser, and so I'm going to remove the staples. I'm going to remove that bottom, and the inside looked better than the outside, so I'll just flip it over. Also, because it was bent in and warped, this will allow the bent in portion to line itself out so it's no longer warped. You'll see there's a lot of cobwebs and dust mites and things that I missed cleaning up because that piece was in the way, and so I cleaned that out and, just like I said, turned it upside down and hammered the MDF back on the bottom of the piece. And so here I'm prepping it for painting finally. And so I'm going to put it up on these little cups that I got from the Dollar Tree, and begin to sand out and smooth out the wood filler and any other scratches and dents or whatnot that are in the piece, to smooth it out, to prep it for paint. And so you'll see me, I changed over the sanders here. I went from an Orbital Sander, why I can't say that word, I don't know, to this mouth sander, just for a little more detail and detail spaces. I felt more comfortable using this mouth sander on these rounded drawer fronts than I did using the Orbital Sander. Orbital, that's correct. And so I got these two sanders. They were real cheap at Walmart. Like I said, this was one of my very first pieces when I first started learning how to flip furniture, and didn't want to put too much money into the investing just in case I didn't enjoy it. So I got both sanders from Walmart, and I think they were both each less than 20 bucks each. I've since upgraded because I do enjoy DIYs, and so I've since upgraded my sanders, but that's what I started off with for these cheaper sanders from Walmart. And so for these more intricate portions of the piece, I'm just going to hand sand. And just to mention, with all the sanding, it's really a scuff sand because I'm going to paint. And so I wasn't trying to take all the finish off. I just wanted to roughen it up so my paint would stick better and smooth it out so the paint would look better. And once I finish sanding, I'm just taking some water and wiping down all the dust and blowing the dust with my lawn blower. And so the first things first is I'm going to prime the wood. Now again, like I said, this was very early in my DIY learning process, and you will see that one of the very first mistakes I did was I did not mix this primer well enough. You can see how it's just looking like it's falling off of or dripping down the piece. And this was a bench lac primer, so oil based, and I just did not take the time to mix it. I had no idea that I was not doing it right, but you want to make sure that you mix your primer thoroughly, otherwise you get something that looks like this. And because I did not mix it thoroughly, I ended up doing, oh gosh, 3 or 4 coats of primer, not realizing that the issue was I just didn't mix it well enough. So mix your primer really well. So when I first started flipping furniture, the farmhouse craze was really trendy at that time, and so everything was all white, which was easy for a first-time furniture flipper to find simple white chalk paint. I can't remember the brand that I used. I want to say it was the Rust-Oleum white chalk paint that I was able to find in Walmart, but just the design I was going for here was just a simple white paint job, and so you'll see me paint the piece white. And so you can see here that this is after multiple coats of primer, because again, I did not mix the primer as I should have. And so it cracked, it didn't give me good coverage, and I had to go back in and of course do more coats of primer. And you can avoid all of this if you only mix the primer correctly. And to get into the little nooks and crannies, I used a paintbrush and then rolled on the paint on the flat surfaces. That works easiest for me. I like to use the paintbrush first and then go over it with the roller. To me, it seems faster, and so that's what I do. I don't remember exactly how many coats of white paint I used for this piece. I know it was multiple coats. Again, I finished this a while back when I first started my DIY journey, and I do know it was multiple coats of paint that I used in order to get full coverage on this piece. First of all, of course the primer didn't help me, or the lack of appropriately applying the primer on the piece didn't help me. And then it was white paint, so it took multiple coats in order to get full coverage on the piece. And then once I got full coverage, I then topped it with a water-based polyurethane in order to protect the finish. Around the piece. Again, it just wasn't the best coverage because of the mistake with the primer, and that just goes to show you that, you know, the prep stuff, it may be not the funnest part of doing these pieces, but they make the pieces look so much better than they would without the appropriate prep. And so this is what we have, what I started with prior to finishing the piece. I then added some new hardware, and this is our finished piece. I was able to sell this piece for $80 minus about $36 worth of additional materials, for about a $14 profit, but not too bad for a beginner piece. I'd like to thank you for watching today's video. If you like this type of content, please hit subscribe, like, share, and I will see you next time. Thanks.